Welcome back to Civ 6 Civilization Spotlight, featuring the Saxons. There's actually two parts of this mod if you're interested. It was made by Merrick's available in the Steam Workshop, but today I'm reviewing Merrick's King Alfred. I don't know about you, but I watched Last Kingdom on Netflix, and that's pretty much the only reason I'm doing Alfred over Offa, who is the other counterpart to this Civilization package. Even though there's a swag-ass guy in the Last Kingdom called Otta, Alfred is my main man. Alfred the Great was king of Wessex from 871 to 899. Alfred had a hard-ass time being king. Basically, him being given the throne was kind of his right, but there were also nephews who later argued that he wasn't the one who deserved the throne. Not to mention, basically the whole time of his reign, he was getting raped by Vikings. The Danes were a huge problem for Alfred and really gave him a rustle. Over many years, he was able to repel the Danes and further unite the heart of his land. Alfred was one of the most predominant kings in Britain's history to really push literacy. If you ever watch the show, all this guy wants to do is write and write, letters and notes all the time. Basically, he makes it his priority to try and solve the problem with the Danes, the basically barbarians, with literacy and diplomacy rather than combat, which doesn't work out for him. A lot of English guys die. A lot of Saxons, my mistake. To sum up his obsession with writing, he believed it was sort of a divine right. Those wishing to advance their holy orders must additionally advance their studies into literacy. Alfred was seen as a saint by Christian and Catholic communities. There was actually an attempt to canonize him by King Henry VI, but it was turned down. Alfred was seen as being a pious Christian ruler who promoted the use of English instead of Latin. The translations he prescribed are seen as the most pure and untainted literature, and is a large foundation for Catholic influences and Normans. Alfred was commended for his patriotism, promotion of education, and his combatant history and success against the barbarism that faced his land. So if you can't tell, I'm pretty interested in this guy. He's in the Netflix series, I'll say it again, The Last Kingdom, really good show, I would really recommend it. Just like the video I did for France, that involved the Musketeers, this is another, my interest is a little biased because of the Netflix series. The Last Kingdom is kind of Game of Thrones-esque, but it's more historically accurate, for the most part anyway. I would really recommend it if you are interested in this kind of civilization. You might be interested in that kind of show, or Game of Thrones, But for now, let's get into the actual traits of Merrick's King Alfred. Leader traits. Revival of learning. +2 faith and +2 science for each great work of writing. Can purchase campus district buildings with faith. This ability was good. Unfortunately, I was getting raped by Gorgo for the Great Writer points because I couldn't match her 30 Great Writer points per turn, which is just fantastic. So I actually had to spend 2,000 gold to beat her to just one, so I could show you, give a little bit of the background gameplay of what it does. This ability is really strong and could really help you build up to some huge science and religion. Unfortunately for me, I tried, but I was just getting beat. In most games, you do result in having spare religion, just left over. Like, you might end your game with 3,000 religion and you don't go religion whatsoever. But playing King Alfred, you can use that spare religion. It's a really intricate and really good ability, actually, and it's fantastic for purchasing libraries and universities. If you don't play religious, like me sometimes, you just don't go religion, you still always end the game with faith. So this was an excellent addition for me personally, because I was able to purchase all of my science buildings with the faith that I was never going to use. Okay, I want to say Brett Walda for this. Gain +1 Envoy when you create a great work of writing. Holy Site districts have an extra +1 great work of writing slot. The Envoy is useful, sure. Because Alfred is so heavily based on literature, it does make sense that he would need more places to store them. You can see here, if I play the correct background gameplay, how many slots I have open, and I just never use them because I could never get any great writers. But there are slots in the religion districts. Unique unit. Or Thegan, I think. +5 combat strength when defending, +50% experience on attacking. Anti-cavalry class unit with 42 melee strength and 2 movement speed, 3 gold to maintain per turn. I honestly never used this. It was unlocked in feudalism, which is kind of late for me because, as you could tell, I didn't really get any of those great writings, so my culture was a little off. But if you do end up going the right way to play this guy, you would get him before the pikeman, pikeman. And the pikeman is 41 strength, which is 1 less than the Thegan, just 1. And if the pikeman, if you didn't know, it is unlocked in the medieval era, so it's probably faster, 8 out of 10 times. Usually you do end up going science is a little quicker than culture. I don't know, it's up to you, but by the time I got this, I had Musketmen, and everyone else had better units too, and it was kind of obsolete. Unique improvement, Minister. Unlocked in Theology, +1 housing and +2 faith, +1 gold for each adjacent pasture, an extra +1 faith and +1 housing once Reformed Church has been researched in your civic tree. This was great. I built these all over, and they actually looked really nice, like they looked excellent. I researched Reformed Church quickly, so I didn't really have to use it, but I got the extra bonuses, which were fantastic. It's just a great improvement for builders to build anywhere you want. It is suggested to build beside pastures, so that's what I actually thought at the beginning of the game, is they could only be built beside pastures, but they can actually be built anywhere. Unique District. Burr. I think that's, I'm not great with Old English, but Burr, I'm pretty sure that's how you say it. An encampment replacement for Alfred. +2 housing, specialists yield +1 gold. Okay, so if you don't know, specialists are citizens you can assign to districts. So if you go to citizen management, you can put 1 or 2 in your population, and the borough will give you bonus production and an additional +1 gold. This is basically standard Civ 6 knowledge specialists. Again, it's in Civ 5 and it's in Civ 6. Basically, you can turn a citizen into a scientist and they produce an extra +2 science. Sure. It's cheaper to produce than regular districts, and it's a slight improvement compared to the original one. It's a nice, subtle improvement. This was a really fun mod, and I definitely would play it again with my friends. It's not overly broken, but I really want to try and go uber culture to see if I can really make use of the Thagan and writer bonuses. This mod has me coming back to it because I loved it so much. I was playing on Emperor or Mortal this game. It was a higher difficulty, and it definitely is not the weakest in the game at all. I didn't have a chance at Faith because I was trying to compete in culture and science with Gorgo, but again, you know your boy always goes Venetian Arsenal, so I was able to do some damage in the sea. I actually manually put Alpha in, who is the counterpart of this mod, to see how he played and his, his interactions with my civilization. He was like #1 in science and religion for most of the game, and he was about to win the science victory, so I took all his cities and with the space districts. I didn't get to finish the game, but I was leading in science, domination, and culture, which was really great because as soon as I took Gorgo's cities and was winning in culture, all the great writers were gone, so that was great. Anyway, let's jump into the ratings and we'll see how it all adds up. Historical representation, 10 out of 10. Yes, this is the first 10 out of 10 that we've witnessed on the channel. Just fantastic. I'm pretty sure I had historical orgasms because this was phenomenal. Everything was perfect. If you watch The Last Kingdom, you know what I mean. I basically mentioned all of Alfred's historical relevance in the intro, but just to recap, and I might throw the sources in depending on how lazy I am at editing. Alfred was one of the most predominant kings in Great Britain's history, and he really tried to push literacy. Alfred was seen as being a pious Christian ruler who promoted the use of English instead of Latin. The translations he prescribed by most religions are seen as the most untainted and pure literature, and is a foundation for Catholic influences. This guy wrote everything and was absolutely obsessed with writing, so do these writing bonuses make sense with science and religious benefits? Absolutely. The Thagan was one of the main medieval military units used by King Alfred in the 9th century. If you watch the Netflix series, you'll see, like, that's all they train is the dudes with the shields, right? You got the shield wall, you got the big, it's like the Temple of Doom, you know, the cave thing, except the other way, and you just squash them in, you kill them all. Great, oh yeah, great Netflix series, I would can't say enough about it. The Burrs were also primarily used by him to fend off Viking invasions. They were on the streets and outside of cities, so it's incredibly accurate there as well. It was hard to find stuff about the minister, so I'm gonna have to base this one off the show. Alfred's main focuses was to establish religion. The main character, Uhtred, who is a Dane, Alfred really tries to convert him. In fact, it's one of his main goals of the show, besides the constant writing. Anyway, he establishes these churches. They're kind of like churches, and people live in them. And it's not just priests either, it's just people. There's food and drink in there too. It's kind of like a storage room, but with sleeping quarters in the lofts. As far as I'm concerned, that's exactly what the minister in this mod is based off of. So unless I'm wrong, let me know in the comments, but this is a well-deserving 10 out of 10. Looks, 9 out of 10. I love these colors, unique and easily distinguishable. The minister looked fantastic, and so does King Alfred too. It looks pretty close to what the actor actually looks like. I'll see if I can find a picture of him. I mean, obviously that's biased because of the show, but you know, the statues and stuff like that, it looks pretty similar. The Thagan icon looked nice too. The model didn't really show the shields. It was kind of like didn't do the display picture justice, but still really good, nice looking civ. Power, 7 out of 10. I think this Civ is not bad at all. Previously stated, if you haven't seen the last videos, power is not based off of, oh, 10 out of 10, I was so good, I played so well. It's based 10 being really strong, 1 being weak. 5 is the ideal rating. 5 is balanced. So this is 7. It's a little bit more powerful than I think a ideal balanced Civ should be. But in my game, it was a very balanced Civ because it's hard to manage science and religion and military and culture all at the same time. So I think it's a really good way to play Alfred, and it's really well balanced. The best way to play him would be religion and culture. You'll get the science from the great works of writing and the faith too, so you can purchase the library and universities with this faith. You can rinse and repeat this process. That's probably the most efficient way to play him. I didn't know this going in, so the next time I play him, I'm definitely going to use that strategy. And I would recommend you do too, because this mod is fantastic, and I would really recommend the download. Personal enjoyment, 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed this mod, and I'm definitely coming back to it. The only reason I have left 1 mark off is because I think it's because if you don't get your way, like I did with Gorgo cuckering me the entire game with culture, the game is still really fun, but you don't feel like you're playing Alfred the Great, you know? Like, writing is a huge part of his kit, and a huge part of his history, so when Gorgo literally, like, smack-dangled me for that culture, and she was beating me to every single great works of art, it slowly chipped away at my fun. Not a lot, but just a little bit. I didn't really get to play King Alfred, Alfred the Great, you know? So play culture. You'll have a great time. It makes me want to come back for more because I really want to experience what it's like to have 40 great works of art and just huge science, huge faith, huge culture. I just want to know what that feels like. That's it for the mod spotlight on Anglo-Saxon's King Alfred. Leave any suggestions for the next mod showcase, and I'll guarantee your comment will be featured in the beginning of the next video. Thanks again to Merrick's for making such an excellent mod. I really appreciate the effort in making it accurate. Links again will always be available in the description, and I'll catch you the next time. Good night.